Hi everybody, Flash Drasman back again with Suzerain. Now, trying to remember where I left it a few days later. Okay. See if I can remember where I left it. Also, oh yes, we had that sculpt me log. Journal, turn 1. So we've declared intention to work with the reformists for the constitutional reform. We've gone for the railway, prepared market economy. We've rejected an offer for a private meeting. We've allowed an electoral campaign finance bill passed into law. Okay, fine. Okay then. Right, so let's look at that first. United Container Embassy help protesters. Around midnight, Ready's protesters clashed with young swords at their vessel city centre. Many injuries. Protesters were cornered in front of the container embassy after a pushback by police. Embassy opened its doors and the Red Youth members escaped inside. That's a bit of a pain. This has got to say. Yeah, it's got. I've noticed this on the last one. It did that. It's on the last one. Here we go. Sometimes it sticks up all news. Underhaul Construction once again. Underhaul was once again picked as the #1 construction company of the year. This was the 11th time the company selected top spot. This is a great time to invest in Underhaul Construction. Okay. Okay, it's worth remembering. Geopolitics. Wumberg closes consulate. That again, regular feature. It always closes Lockhaven consulate. Okay. Okay, that's gonna escalate probably. Anything else we need to look at while we're on? Nope. Quick look everywhere. What's their little flag look like? Get a view of their flag there. All quite similar. Right. Let us decide which one is we're going to read first. That's obviously muting my phone. Okay. Right. React to unrest. Read report from Arcasia. Right, okay, let's do this one first. Arcasia developed the first Icbm. Intelligence reports Arcasia successfully completed the Missile 4 intercontinental ballistic missile, which is estimated capability to accurately destroy targets thousands of kilometers. Destroy targets at thousands of kilometers range. Wow, so they've got a long range, basically. I don't know them do. That's that one. React to unrest. A decision to address instability in the nation. Political situation around the country has escalated. Chief strategist Lucien Gallard has prepared several action plans that we could execute. What will we do to address intensifying political climate? Call for restraint on television. Visit affected towns in person. Label all protesters as traitors. Expand the police. Reject the plans. Call for restraint on TV. Visit the affected towns. Label them all as traitors. Let's go that one. I've not done that one before. Protesters warned called traitors. Has released a very condemning press statement directed at protesters standing up and around the country. The President called them traitors, statement which puts them in the same category as the enemies of the state. Many criticise this dangerous rhetoric, but it could scare most mainstream protesters that reduce the overall amount of people in the streets. The absolute opposite if possible. True. Oh, okay, radical. Rayne showing true colours. Excellent. Yeah. Rayne won't lead Sordland. Rayne wouldn't want to lead a Sordland that is shattered, would he? Okay, I've nailed the flag to the colours right. They've shown the true colours as ever. It was late in the evening. The marine pass was finally getting somewhat quiet when I turned to my office at the dock. I eagerly approached my chair and sprawled out in it. It had been an exhausting day, just like every day since I took office. Prepared to go home. I forced myself out of the chair, gathered my jacket briefcase. I really need to make some time for my family. I quickly glanced out of the window before leaving. Serge and the guards were outside at the main gate as usual. I had a couple of knocks on the door. My secretary, Olivia, soon entered. Mr. President, Mrs. Tusk is here to see you. You had a meeting with Lothberg. Lothberg spokesman. I'm sorry for not giving you proper notice. Yeah, do your job properly. You're alright, Mr. President. I probably made a mistake with my notes. It will never happen again. But he's already here, President. What do you want me to tell him? After a moment, Mr. Swaggered into the room. I met Sordland's most prominent business once at his house, but never alone. He had large jowls, blindingly shining shoes, and he had someone who was used to getting his way. Anything to drink, Mr. Tusk? Walter, whiskey? Cognac, preferably from before you were born, sweetheart. Ooh. I'll check the supply room. Right, she's gone to have a look. Walter hung his hat, which he hung up his hat, which you could see was lined with mink. He fixed a long, hard stare, then broke a toothy grin. Good evening, Mr. President. I'm here to congratulate you. How did he get in? Well, I suppose if he arranged a meeting. My business partners, I wish you a successful term as leader of our nation. Get to the point. Why are you really here? I see that you're not very welcoming, President. I may congratulate you. I said reason to necessitate rudeness. I don't believe I'm being rude. Time is money after all, isn't that right? Walter took a conspicuous look at his diamond-crusted watch on his wrist. Yes, that's true, but at the same time, patience, humility are important virtues for a man in your position. You're president after all. May I continue? Nod. I'd like to build a profitable relation between us. I'm sure you would. That being said, there are some concerns of mine and the people I represent, which I'd like to take this opportunity to clear up. The people you represent. You know that's to represent the Lothberg Group, which is founded by Mr. Thesis for the economic advisor to the King of Sordland, currently spokesman of the organisation. The Lothberg Group was founded by Noel Tusk, who used to be the economic advisor to the King of Sordland. Currently, the spokesman of the organisation is Walter Tusk, the grandson of Noel Tusk. Officially, Lothberg has no clear structure or leadership, but the spokesman is considered to be the de facto leader of the entity. The group convenes every 3 months at the Hotel Berg in the village of Lotha. Hence the name Lothberg, I assume. The meetings are secret. Many analysts suggest topics like economy, security and international politics are discussed. Most of its members are unknown except the speaker, Mr. Walter Tusk, who acts as official spokesman. Conspiracy theorists think that the future of Mercury is decided at these conferences. Of course, his concerns are not limited to them. The ruined state of the economy suddenly has influenced everyone. The recession has hit us all hard. Pulled a box of cigars from his jacket. I bought this from Lesbia, the best cigars in the whole continent. Would like to try one? I'd rather not have you smoking. Let's make it as uncomfortable for him as possible. You're having a good start to term for sure, besides the recent troubles. Glad you've decided to promote the free market, which is the only thing that can get us out of this mess. Yes, you know, I couldn't have said it better, or could I? We think that so many elements of our capital could be of help to the government, he grinned. The high-speed rail investment was a great decision. The business logistics will improve the business economy once finished. Yeah, okay, fine. We could be closer as a group can help you get Sordland out of the recession, which will be the key problem to solving your term and could even determine your re-election. Yeah, not wrong there. Let's start with a gesture of goodwill. Soon the investment project contract will be awarded to one of the 3 main contenders. Want to check out his pocket, so it's to me on the table. My personal bank details are listed on it with a deposit of 500 Sordish Ren ready to be transferred. This was 6 months of a president's salary. If the contract is somehow awarded to Underhall Construction, they would not only work hard and deliver, but it will also do it on time. What do you think, Mr. Rayne? Wouldn't that be good? There's a noise at the door. Olivia was standing there holding a tray and a bottle of 2 glasses. I'm sorry, Mr. Tusk. All I can find was a 1942 Savigny. I hope that's acceptable. Yep. Okay. Tusk eyed up on her way as she left. Remind me to visit your office more often. Now, where were we? Do we have a deal? Yeah. He will decide and pull a check away, put it in his pocket. Yeah, of course, threatened. Be careful, Tusk, or you will have to make your deals in a prison cell. I think we started off on the wrong foot here. My goal is to begin a mutually beneficial partnership. Nothing more, I can assure you. Well, I will excuse myself. Thank you for your time. Have a good evening, President. Stood up, grabbed his jacket, and made his way to the door. It closed the door behind him. I gathered my things and finally prepared to head home. To walk down, Olivia's still there, covering up her typewriter for the evening. If I may be so bold, Mr. President, did you accept the offer? Did you not ever speak about it again? You didn't see anything? Yeah, cool, let's ball her out. Of course, sorry to intrude. She and I took a moment to look over the lights of the city before heading to the elevators. Okay. What could possibly go wrong with that? Let's have a quick cup of tea. Right, where were we? Kibner suggests expanding executive powers, suggests because he should expand executive powers, adding fuel to the debate of the possibility of reforming the 1929 Constitution. He pointed out the current dire situation of Sordland, emphasising the need for strong leadership. So basically saying that the President would have absolute immunity for the courts. And basically allowing become more of a dictator. PFJP want to go the other way. No, okay. Right, so stop them is basically they want to stop the President being able to just dissolve the Assembly, which is fair enough. Reform demands gain popularity, so yet people want reforms. Workers' Party Solidarity March. Bloody citizens targeted. Okay. Okay, so more bad news and stuff. Just moving my tea off my desk, because normally if I have my tea on my desk, I normally end up spilling it all over my desk. So I've just moved it off. Right, what's this one? This is award. Okay. What's you? So you are economic relief plan. Okay. Let's read. One of our agents acting as a youngster member has an encounter with two members of the local police force in Enrique Olson Bala and Vic Nazir. According to a report, the policeman tried to bribe an agent to burn down a store that belongs to a non-Communist Party member. Okay, that's not good news. Finalising the contract. Tell you what I'm going to do first. Let's have a look over it, because both these are going to be long conversations. Well, this is not actually. With the assistance of the National Bureau of Business Council and the Central Bank, Simon Holland has put forward a countrywide relief plan to mitigate the economic hardships that are being felt. We can either stimulus check for people in need of or bail out businesses under financial constraint. Oh, this is interesting, because I think that conversation with Walter Tusk would have probably impacted on this conversation. So we can either bail out businesses or give people money, or we can do nothing. Let us provide stimulus checks for people in need, or do nothing. Let's go that one. Okay, I've not done that before. Country overview. Economist, unemployment and checks. The administration has fallen for populism with the idea that giving people money will solve the problems of the economy overall. It is hard to grasp where these ideas come from, especially when long-term job growth and employment is what the country needs. Yeah, they're not happy. Screw them. Anyway, here we go. Right. Budget, that's not very good. Right, we arrive in Rica by train after greeted by cheerful citizens and local government officials. We head to City Hall. Here, a significant meeting about the L1 project would take place. Several construction companies sent their representatives to City Hall. Even though Lily Scraff couldn't make the meeting, I had Simon Hall and Gus Manga by my side. I came with train yesterday, and it was a little uncomfortable. Besides, I couldn't recover. The train journey would be much more pleasant, Mr. President. That's a given. Now the project will prove so many things, ranging from logistics to growth. You made the right choice for sure. I hope so, Gus. My road development plans will be partially completed by flocking new businesses to the area. Thank you. According to my estimations, the project will give 50,000 citizens from Greater Holswood and Gelswood areas. Hang on. Basically, so we employ 50,000 people in the Greater Holswood and Gelswood. What will it take to stop the recession? This is the beginning. We'll follow this project with several other economic investment projects, which is dependent on our government budget, right? Yes. Simon searched for the documents he was holding and found one he was looking for. I have the overview of the companies here. After me, look at the files. We've got Sordland State Corp, Underhaul, and Taurus. I viewed the listed companies. I wrote down some notes and ideas. Which company we talk? Let's talk about Taurus Holding first. It was founded in 1947 by entrepreneur Gerald Face. It is a new holding company whose subsidiaries are use cost-cutting technology in cases to reduce construction costs and prices. They are known to provide for their workers who are part of the Labour Union of Sordland, which is the basic interest in better working conditions. They are very interesting corporations, especially because they're innovative construction methods, but they aren't suitable for large projects like these. Why should we pick them? It would fit our election promise of switching to a free market economy. Awarding contracts to privately owned companies would be a step in the right direction. Taurus has completed fewer projects than the other companies, however they are slightly faster and cheaper. It won several awards internationally, one being the fastest growing advanced companies. The innovative this experience exactly, and why take a risk now when we need to play it safe with companies at Underhaul. They delivered for the government on time. The budget for Taurus mentioned that they will be able to finish the project with the allocated funding. They're the only company who found the budget sufficient, making them the cheap alternative. It's worth considering. Sordland State. This respected Sordland State Corporation, also known as the SSC, was founded in 1891. It is the main state corporation tasked with running day-to-day construction systems for our country. It's a primary reason why infrastructure is outdated as it is. We need more adaptive companies. The disadvantage would be going against the late election promise of moving away from the state-dominated economy. So the SSC lacks a modern way of thinking. They underperform with their slow construction methods. Gus stopped and laughed. Look at the abysmal railway system, regional railway system. Got a point. The other wealth of knowledge. I don't share the admiration for SSC, but their track record clearly shows completed contracts with thousands of employees who have experience. According to the preliminary calculations, they will need more resources to finish this size of the project. I like, but I want to hear more. I'm on the fence about the SSC. Underhaul. The real estate and construction giant was formed. The real estate constructed real estate agents, and construction giant was formed in 1925 and expanded during the economic boom in the 1930s. Picking this corporation would fit our market economy policy. The CEO of Underhaul is Chris Shah, the Mayor of Conway. He sold half his shares a few years ago, but he seemed very eager on the L1 bid. I had the chance to work with Underhaul Construction in Hull, so they took several contracts for essential stage renovation and excelled at it. How was your experience with them? Out of the three, this is the company I can trust. They work hard, long and faster come to their contracts. They would get this done they will get this done if we give it to them. I'm not sure about trusting them with such a big contract, especially after the workers' issues they had, but at least they have worked on several mega projects that will always deliver on time. We need to be able to trust that the working conditions must be respected. I think the capabilities are very suitable for the project. They have worked on two infrastructure projects, Gelswood and one in Greater Holswood. They were worth £2 billion until Underhaul specifically mentioned their side track record and hard that the cost of the project would be more than expected for a scale of this project. That the cost of the project will be more than expected for us project to this scale, but finished on time. Underhaul seems interesting, but to the others, I'm not sure. It was time to make a decision about which company's right. in a previous run, I used this lot to build the road option. You know, we had to start. We had the road option. We had the road option to go from Lockhaven into Agland, and they were cheap, but then I ended up costing me more, and they were late. I don't like that Tusk fella. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to go with this lot, just because it's not going to cost me anything. I'm conscious that budget is. I want to keep that budget healthy. That might be a mistake. Good that we are staying consistent with our economic strategy. Simon signed a section of the dossier, fixed his glasses. Well, Mr. President, the contract will be awarded to Taurus Holding. I wish the outcome of the meeting was different, but at the end of the day, the success of the project is what matters. The company will be notified today. Construction work will begin immediately afterwards. I think we're off to a good start. I really hope so. My expectations for a grand opening ceremony are late next year. I'll be returning to my duty to see you soon, President. Okay. Thank you and goodbye. Rest of the day with attending meetings in Enrica. It was very refreshing to attend cultural dances and hear traditional Swedish music of the region. Okay. Alright, let's have a look at this one. Taurus Holding aboard a 2-year contract for the extensive infrastructure project known as L1 High Speed Rail Project Sordland. Which wanted to do said it could build a line much stronger than planned and at a much lower cost. Warned that letting Taurus build extremely questionable. Alban Clavin. Okay. Let's hope that wasn't a mistake. Risky rail project. Yeah, they're all saying it's a risk. Yeah, they're basically saying it's a risk. Let's hope that wasn't a mistake, but oh well, we'll find out at some point. When they come knock on the door and they need more money, which would not surprise. That's what happened last time. On the first one, they came out and then I ended up spending money on them. Ministry of Report situation on borders is getting tense. Rumberg's Southern Army started training close to their borders and did not respond after we issued radio messages. Okay, so Rumberg's hovering is the answer to this. Alright. Funeral for Berners Circus. A decision to attend the funeral of Berners Circus. Do we go or do we not? Death of Berners Circus has shocked the country, and the funeral held a dialogue cries of sympathisers. Circus was not only a communist poet but also elected peer that had a voice. I've got to go. I think I've got to, because he's an MP. Even though he's a communist, he's still an MP, you know. I've left my tea got cold. Ugh. Nothing worse than cold tea. Or lukewarm tea. I like my tea to burn before I actually drink it. That's where drinking tea, that is. Anyway, I digress. Let us have a Saint Dast's newest cemetery diet. Let's go with no, that's not what I want to do. Journal. We're in turn 2 now. We've rejected a bribe. Okay. We want what am I looking for? Others. That's peak characters. I want history. Nope. Regions, cities, countries, landmarks, organisations. Where is religion in this? Countries, cities, regions, landmarks. Ideologies. Here we go. Nope. That's miscellaneous. Annuity. There we go. Annuity is a monotheist. Is that word there? Religion teaching that the only creator is a divine God, and that Saint Dast is his divine messenger. It's the biggest religion in Macopia and the 3rd largest in the world. The Jews believe that the divine God revealed divine intent through Saint Dast on Dissension Day. As a divine messenger, Saint Dast began his lifelong journey of spreading the message of the divine across the land. Together with 30 disciples, according to Nuity, the divine God is an entity believed to inhabit all things. Neurists believe that one must strive towards the construction of the Golconda, a divinely ordained pillar in the axis of life that will bring salvation to all human beings. Those who follow this goal are considered to be on the path of enlightenment. There are 2 main branches of Nuity. There are Dastra Unity and Ruhesism. Dastrinists believe the direct and literal following of the teaching of St. Dast. Ruhusists, if that's pronouncing that properly, follow a more imperative approach, advocating that St. Ruek, who they believe was divinely appointed as successor to. The amount of thought's gone into that is just insane. The amount of thought that to create this whole background to what is just literally a sentence on the page, on a window, to put it in that kind of, it's just mental. Things are flashing at me. I'm dodging the I'm dodging looking at this. No, let's do it. Dark clouds were looming over there. They looked daunting as our convoy started approaching the central cemetery. It looked like it was going to rain, certainly fitting weather for a funeral. Ugh. I wouldn't say that. As I expected, Burner Circus was passing maintained its media attraction, and all of Sordland was paying attention to the ceremony, especially to what I would say in my speech today. Sir, we have arrived. Raindrops were running down the car window when Serge opened the door, held an umbrella over my head. As soon as I got out, flashes, camera blinded me. So I'll admit it's okay. Could be nice to Serge, if you like Serge. As you wish, sir. He handed me an umbrella, started waiting next to the car with his own. Peter and Carl exited from their own cars in the convoy and made their way over to me. Anton, Mr. President, I just want to inform you that the perimeter is clear and the security is complete. There's no one getting in or out without our knowledge. I blinking hope so. We don't want something to happen. We don't want to say, you better be right for your sake. That's a bit harsh. Absolutely not, Mr. President. The same mistakes will never happen again. I personally made sure of that. Good night, Mr. Anton. You'll have to answer to the First Lady. And trust me, Cole, you don't want that. Peter let out a laugh with truth intention and bereaved attendees. Right, I mean, life is full of tragedy. We should try and take it easy if we can. Started to rain. Several intelligible voices were heard from Carl's radio. He stepped out to reply and return shortly. We have a small problem, sir. A few, or 5 to be exact, Red Youth members are here to attend the funeral. They apparently said they wish to pay their respects to their fallen comrade. Should we let them in? Let them in. As you command. Let's head over. They're about to start. Walk towards the crowded circle around the grave. Everyone in attendance was wearing a black mourning. The rain started pouring heavily. Bernard's widow and daughter were in the front row, staring at the coffin with a mixture of disbelief, confusion, and above all, cold, unforgiving sadness. Both their eyes were red, swollen with weeping. Before taking my place to the ceremony, I gave my condolences to Bernard's wife and his daughter, who looked to me. She reminded me of Diana. When the religious ceremony was done, I was invited by the priest to deliver my speech. I took the podium. I felt like a lump in my throat. I couldn't get my daughter's eyes out of my head. There we are mourning Bernard sick as a father, husband, and a loyal servant of the country. Yep. Towards the back of the ground, I spotted members of the youth wearing red shirts and black armours of mourning on their arms. They seemed to really and were respectfully bowing their heads. There was complete silence except for the sound of the raindrops. So this is a great loss for all of us. I confess that I disagree with Bernard entirely, but it doesn't mean that he deserved this. Our country can be a better place. Regardless of his ideology, this is a heinous act. He's a good man. He was a true comrade that fought for what he believed in. His ideal vision. I don't know, because I'm not. I wonder if they prompt different reaction. Must do. That's the ideology. This was a heinous act. Mason was a good man. Yeah, go with that one. We will make sure that unfortunate events like this will never happen again. Circus had a dream of unified Sordland. In these next months, he will fulfill his dream, band together. I interpret this attack as an attack against Sordland, by extension against me personally. I promise you this: the blood of Bernard will not remain on the sacred ground of Sordland. Let's go with that one. Let us mourn the passing of Bernard 6, remember him well. But hatred begets hatred. There is only one way to overcome this vicious cycle. We must unite against the evils of the world. The tears of family left behind have a price that needs to be paid. I won't stop. This is paid in full. Ooh, that's fighting talk, that is. I'd probably normally go with that, but I'm almost tempted to be a bit more He left behind of a price that needs to be paid. Let's go with that one. I normally go with that. Thank you. Somebody started clapping, some crying. The coffin was lowered to the grave by the gravekeepers. After a couple of minutes, Bernard's circus was with the soil no more. As we bid farewell to Bernard, I want to close with the words every sword lives by. Everyone replied, Vector and Distar, victory is close. With applause, I stepped off the podium. It was time to leave. Widow thanked me with a soft, defeated voice before we dispersed. I went back to the car, looking at the eyes of Bernard's sister's daughter. I couldn't get the eyes of Bernard's daughter, nor the faltering voice of his wife out of my head. Would Diana, Monica, and Frank look the same way if something happened to me? Let's hope we don't find out. Peter put his hand on my shoulder. That was a good speech. I said some respect in his voice. Nod. Come on, it's time to go. We've got work to do. He was right, we had work to do, so much more to do. I realised that when I stopped and I looked up, the black clouds had so disappeared, sunbeams enlightened the surroundings. As someone once said, even the darkest night will end and the sun will rise. Very poetic. Hope was still on the horizon. Right, okay, so let's look at the news first. President sat together with Red Youth. That's not the headline I wanted to see. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Okay. Maybe that wasn't a good idea because it's been interpreted like I was in favour of them. Oh well. Worse could happen. The Blue Mansion in Lockhaven hosted us for an important diplomacy gathering. The door opened. David Wishy, once a lecturer to me, now the Minister of Foreign Affairs, gently made his way towards my desk. May I sit down, Mr. President? Leave the form. Answers to David. Please take a seat. Right, I'm still getting used to a new position, Anton. He slowly sat down, taking care not to aggravate his arthritis in his knees. He'd always had an air of gravitas about him, and old age only served to deepen that. After he settled himself, he regarded me with delight, blue eyes sparkling. Look at you, Anton the Fourth, President of Sordland. What a privilege for me. I still remember the first day you took my class at Lockhaven, School of Economics. Somehow the inexplicable ebb and flow of life has led us here to positions where we can change the course of history. Yep, let's look forward to our new foreign policy. This time for coffin for longer. Would you like some tea or water? Yes, please. Tea and water sounds nice. Thank you very much. She smiled. Lizzie's brought that in. It seems she still remembers how much I like tea nowadays. It does really wonders to my throat. How is your wife, Catherine? Don't let even look at the rest of them. So his age has hit me harder than her for sure. She still does her daily jogs, unlike me. Nothing can challenge time. Nothing. How is the Rayne family? Yeah, time passes, I realise it. Family is the most important thing in life. We must take care of them. The door opened. Isaac and Lucian joined us, breathing as the tall case clock hit the hour mark. However, Pete was missing. I wondered if he was late from all the drink he did at the party in Lockhaven. He is a liability. I'll talk more later, President Rayne. Welcome, everyone. How was your travel from Lockhaven? A little bumpy due to the turbulence. I arrived on a military cargo plane that landed at Lockhaven International. After the train, it was a little slow, but I can still recommend it for beautiful scenery, beautiful landscape rather. I also had the possibility to work on a couple of things during the ride. From what I've heard, it will be much faster in the near future when the L1 high-speed rail is finished. Exactly what it will hopefully be one of our major achievements. Well then, since misdirecting incidents have become today, I think we're ready to start. I'll start providing a brief overview of the current status with our neighbours. Who would you like to start with? Sorry, I've just got a message coming through. Okay, put it down a second. Let's go with Agnolia first. Agnolia, a brotherly nation to the northeast. Agnolia, they're still diplomatically non-aligned and probably one of the most democratic systems between our neighbours. Economic stagnation is worrying for them. Their primary issue is heavy reliance on foreign investment from us. Agnolia is our most friendly neighbour. We have been allies for the longest time after Rumberg annexed Dome. The fact needs to be part of the equation. Unsurprising, Agnolian Prime Minister Martin van Houten is expected better cooperation than a new fair deal with us. It was one of his election mandates. We'll think about his request. The matter is still on the table. Yeah. We could secure them as allies if we make concessions and a new agreement. Rumberg is a common threat. Additionally, the latest numbers indicate that 1 million Anglo-Swedish citizens live in the Agland region of Sordland, which creates a link between foreign policy and our internal affairs. These people have suffered socio-economically, which led them to crime and other problems. In addition, a relaxed immigration policy, one of Agnolia's main requests, which is not accepted. Most of the migrants in that country haven't even assimilated into Swedish culture. Adding more won't help. I'm a supporter. I'm relaxed about that. I would rethink that seriously because it has a great influence on our society and values. We should remember that we promised to keep our immigration laws relaxed in the election campaign. Let's look at Vagsland now. Our cousins across the Markian Sea wish to have good relations with us. As we all know, Vagsland is a socialist republic aligned with United Contana. They are a very important regional player. It is also the most significant sea power in Eastern Macapia. We had hostile relations with them after several wars in the 19th century, which we wouldn't want to experience again. Recently, the relationship has warmed up thanks to Emmerich Hegel. As a result, diplomatic talks can be conducted in the future. It's not easy to forget about the Great Fire of Conriat. Thousands of lives were lost that day. We shouldn't. Breaking that Suzerain would be good if we were to rise diplomatically. Yeah, I agree. We could potentialise, in my opinion, the situation in the region necessitates we find allies. I completely agree. There haven't been good relations with us for the past 200 years. Recently, they also joined the United Contanan Security Pact, subjugated themselves to United Contana, which is a very good point. On top, territorial issues flare up between Agnolia and Vagsland because of the Helgeland Island. The Swedish Navy is very concerned about its volatile situation. Yeah, I said that was going to be an issue. Lucien looks slightly worried. Unfortunately, the billions of Swedish yen worth of cargo is transported close to Vagslandian maritime borders on the Marquis Sea and the Grey Strait. This causes significant risks to our imports and exports in case of a deteriorating relationship. So basically, this is what we've got a lot of problems. So they're saying our trade flows out of Lockhaven, up here, up through the Merkin Sea, up there, and out on the Vaglas Channel. And that being a potential war zone ain't good for anybody. The strait is a high strategic value to us. I said the Navy is keeping an eye on the situation from a distance, right? We are actively monitoring sea routes and cargo ships for now. There's no immediate threat, but we don't know what can happen in the future. What's the latest situation in Welland? It's tumultuous in the south as always. Victor Smollett is expanding his powers among Pretis and Wessex people. However, he is quite positive about normalising the relationship between our countries. Reports indicate that it's been warming up to the Contanan international aid. As we know, Welland's instability is always a concern for the region. But if we can help them, we must not treat refugees like we did in the 30s. I can't stomach the inhumanity of those people suffered. A trade agreement would improve stability and increase mutual trade. Why help such a turbulent state? Not sure about what to help them. Yeah, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no to that because, yeah. And then we had the Civil War. They were there for us. That is. And when we had our Civil War, they were there for us. That is how refugee rights work internationally. Our main goal should be to avoid refugee crises like the late 20s. That Civil War had major security and economic repercussions on soldier soil. One of the demands of President Moloch was to tighten immigration. Also, political refugees don't escape to Sordland. There's been a recent purge that has pushed many blues to flee to Bergia. It is definitely troubling. Government outpost has regained its importance due to this. I'm sure you remember the winter at that border post, Mr. President. He's right, I did remember that winter. I remember the despair of the refugees as we forcibly escorted them back to the Welland border. It's our international interest to prevent the formation of a failed state on the western border. You've got a point. Welland has been increasingly aligned itself towards communist lines and another point to analyse, which is a concern. Let's move on. Two important neighbouring countries remain, Lesbia and Lumberg. Which we'd like to hear about first? Let's go Lesbia. Let's save the best till last day. Our southern neighbour is aligning itself more and more with Ascasia. Lesbia is currently led by Patricio Alvarez. That fella. They are the jewel of the continent and the second largest economy in Macopia. Through wealth, Lesbia suffers from excessive economic inequality. Though wealthy, our past relations with them have been great, but due to the last decade, their investments have sort of dwindled due to our instability. Allying with the richest regional nation could be beneficial. Lesbia is a sleeping giant. We should not wake them. They keep turning a blind eye towards the region, thinking Lesbia is above it all. Yeah, I think getting to bed with them could help us. I reckon it could be, but it would mean that we would draw closer to the Arcasia bloc and near the Arcasian Treaty Organisation. And certainly that recession has a lot to do with their attraction of investment. Once they see the money isn't in the picture, they vanish rather quickly because they are capitalists. Fair enough. They have shown a selfish attitude towards the Welland Civil War by closing their borders and funneling refugees across into Sordland. Listen cleared his throat. Our values have two different recipes. It will be hard to see from eye to eye. Yeah, go on, let's go. Everything comes got a cost. In Lesbia, the cost is wealth and equality, but business people are getting richer and richer. There are hundreds of very privileged oligarchs who invest inside and outside of Lesbia. Some make significant investments in the cities of Benfield and Valden. What's the situation with Lumberg? Oh, cold cup of tea, yuck. Anyway, right. Now to the most troublesome nation, Lumberg, a constitutional monarchy led by Queen Beatrice Livingston. I highly advise caution and calculated action against Lumberg. Our military must be prepared. The threat is real. They are strong and have the motivation as well as the means to damage us. We shouldn't give them any reason to pursue aggression. So take advice is always a rogue state has nothing to be done about them. We must prevent them interfering in our affairs. They have shown similar behaviour towards our neighbouring countries. Before we must be cautious. While Thornbury openly denies its claims, their past and current actions make it clear they want to destabilise us. The weapons caches found by our intelligence agency clearly shows what their goals are. Our military must be steadfast and our diplomacy valiant. ISF looks stern and full of resolve. Lumberg's threat is one of our top priorities. You can be assured of that. We're always in dialogue with Lumberg ambassador to make sure our channel is open to resolve disputes. We could use their aggressive attitude against them by convincing the international community. Lucien grabbed the Lakevan Times newspaper and put the article about the latest diplomatic incident. Their abrupt announcement about the closure of Lumberg consulate in Lakevan is yet another step in their escalation. This covers the overview of the current situation. We'll move on to our trade choice and respond to Lumberg's diplomatic escalation. The sun began to set over the hills from the Lakevan. The team was ready to give advice on the new trade initiative in response to the latest diplomatic incident with Lumberg. Peter arrived late and was a little rougher than usual. He must have been drinking last night. FX, excuse my delay, I'm sure I didn't miss anything we didn't know already. You're still supposed to be part of the meeting, also on time. Punctuality is important. We are talking serious subjects here. Peter, yeah, you should have discipline in the cabinet. Excuse me, it won't happen again. Lucy and Isif looked at Peter before David moved away from the subject. The Vice President was part of the trade delegation, so it is great to have some input on the subject, but also on the Lumberg incident. These two issues at hand, which topic should we tackle first? Let's go with the trade delegation. Our goal is to successfully sign a trade agreement with our last smaller neighbours. We have two options. We, for our trade initiative, start with negotiations with Agland on forming a new cooperation with Welland. Agnolia. First off, the reason behind this option is more diplomatic than economic. Although, of course, we can't forgo added economic value. Agnolia is an old ally and a valuable trading partner. The point we are at with the early negotiations is around the steel trade. They are demanding that we buy their steel at a higher price. That is because they think the deal is far too imbalanced as it is. The second main demand is a privileged access to our agricultural market. If we fulfill these demands in return, they're offering full alliance with Sordland against Wumberg. Look at the current advances of Wumberg near our borders. Having a coalition against Wumberg will prove extremely useful. Obviously, there will be consequences for entering a full alliance, mainly the issue over the Helgi Islands. Vagsland has made clear intentions on taking over the islands one way or another, and entering a military alliance with Wumberg will make them furious. I want to state my support for the decision to stick with our old ally Agnolia, even though I disagree with their demand to relax immigration. We have cooperated on many issues in the past. The obvious subject we still need to tackle, like economics and traded goods, and what to do with immigration. My opinion is that this is a good thing. We should go for it. The new Agnolian promise is trying to improve existing relationships. The downside is that we would need to make concessions about the reality of any trade deal. Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I'm open to creating a new agreement that will satisfy all sides. That would be the best outcome. If Agnolia is a good option, another point is that they have a very democratic system. After recent elections, the PM has a mandate to arrange a fair deal with us. He's also an avid fan of relaxed immigration. Since we said we like keeping immigration relaxed, it will help us. Regardless, if we're going to increase our regional influence to previous levels, we need to make amends with our neighbours. Ultimately, the decision will be to you as always. Right, well, and dealing with the factual government as positive as the negatives, although it will be lucrative in the short term, there are risks associated with such a country. They are proposing co-investment projects and a no-tariff agreement. They are also offering oil in return for attracting foreign capital interests from Sordland. However, it is possible there will be international ramifications of getting closer with a country like Welland. All in all, there is a very lucrative deal for us. However, we need to think about the consequences. I say don't support the decision to become friendly with Welland. We carried their burden for decades. Their migrants flooded our country, and now they're expecting a deal from us. Maintaining influence with Welland could prove useful. Yes, it is risky, but think about our influence on an underdeveloped region like that. We could sell more products and enter their market easily. I'm of the opinion that is simply too risky. Yes, we would gain resources and immediate capital, but I'm afraid of the consequences. I agree. There's two against one on. It's risky. He doesn't like it because of the past history with him. He's like, I'm going to go. It's too risky. I tend to agree. If we go forward with the deal, then when the time comes, there might be a topic of immigration to consider. Victor Smolak is a known isolationist. I promise to keep our immigration policy relaxed. Will not help at all. He blames us for bringing Western interest to the region. He doesn't want political opponents to flee here. Obviously, I don't like the idea of getting too close to Welland. Me too. Agreed. I still think we should give it a try. Since we did not promise to lie with neither east or west, it is very likely their concerns will be more around the deal itself. We need to consider the effects of the economic doctrine plan. The fact we're heading towards a market economy will have an influence. Good negotiators optimise interest, which makes the difference become trivial. Our own base has to reach a deal. Very true, Mr. Welland. We have a lot of time to prepare before scheduled visits to Welland and Agnolia. This gives me a brief overview of the current options. Let's now discuss Wumberg. Wumberg Consulate Sir Brand Harrington announced the closure of the 120-year-old consulate. Now the diplomatic staff is leaving the city to go back to Thornborough. Either lack of security in Sordland due to the assassination of the civil process, it is obvious they are making excuses. First they close their consulate and then they blame our security. Yeah, they are. That's not they're playing with us. Isn't it telling that other countries are working with while Wumberg is cutting ties with us? The neglect of President Alfonso and the chaos of the elections delayed our diplomatic effort. He is, he's a former leader. Now there are only 2 diplomatic missions left in Sordland, one consulate in Dyer and the other at the embassy in Holsword. Okay. We are accustomed to the usual rhetoric, but this is far more serious. I must display strength by people. We can't be pushed around. Yep, they are playing with fire. Look at what Welland destabilisation has done to the region. Well, Sordland breaking apart would tear Macopia apart. In my entire career, I've never seen Rumberg relations suffer so much. The previous put with the annexation of Dome. Except for his furious, he barely kept himself from slamming the desk. There are worrying developments like smuggled arms and built near the border. Our military must be buffed up to stand up against the original power like Rumberg. We either respond to aggressive actions with diplomatic accommodation, or we retaliate by closing our consulate in Dome. I want to say an escalation would be risky this early in our presidency. We must focus on creating a negative image of Rumberg in the international scene. The people of Sordland must be protected no matter the cost. I say we respond equally. Write an official diplomatic response condemning the reason might declare. Let's just go like for like. As Vice President, I shall begin work immediately from the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade. A strong advance to Rumberg will boost popularity at home. I'm glad we are drawing a clear red line, otherwise they will keep escalating the situation. I like the determination, Mr. President. A trade delegation will begin work towards the end of the year, and we'll expect final negotiations and signing to happen next year. Very much looking forward to visiting Starport and Vaklovitz with party animals like David and Simon. Haha. Peter laughed out of no desires and stared at him. Well, that concludes our meeting, Mr. Rayne. Good work. I'll take my leave then, sir. The meeting concluded, and the team dispersed. Our diplomatic action plan had officially begun. Alright, let's have a look at what we've got news-wise. A detained young swordsman Arvich claimed that his connections to the government. We have been investigating the truth of his claims, but not found any leads. Okay, anything else to look at? Let's look at this. News articles. Emergency in Enrique Mayor announces. What's he wrong with him? Trouble again. Okay, we know about that. Welfare issues. Okay, more. Like healthcare issues. We need democracy, yeah. This follows directed swiftly to the Rumberg Coast Consulate by shutting the Sordland Consulate in Dome. Agnolian city annexed by Rumberg. This clear retaliatory response has a lot of attention. Okay. Right, okay. What are you asking me about? Right, I think we're going to leave that conversation next time, because that's going to be a long one. Oh, that's flown by. That's 45 minutes, 50 minutes. It's absolutely flown. So so basically, diplomatically, we're going to try and have a chat with Agland, and we're going to be very, very careful what we talk with them. And as ever, Rumberg are being a pain. But this could be the flashpoint. Yeah, but anyway, a lot to think about. And in the next episode, we're going to start with the first big battle we're going to have is the reform and how we go about getting it through. Because last time I got it through, but got it kicked out by the judges. But anyway, that's all for a future episode. I hope you've enjoyed that. This is my third one. I love this game. It's got so much detail. I'm trying to do different responses I've done previously to try and get different answers, try and see where the game goes. If you've played it yourself, let me know what you think. Let me know kind of what directions you've got, what decisions you've made. If you've got different storylines if you've got different endings from the two I've had, then let me know. I'd love to hear about it, because I'd love to hear what other endings people have had in this game, because I've ended up being locked up for decades in one, and I had my family commit suicide and me commit suicide in the last one. So I've had kind of quite unhappy endings, really. So anyway, I'm starting to ramble, and as ever, when I start to ramble, it's time to stop. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that, and I shall see you in the next one. Alright then, see ya, bye.